It's going to be our last edition while Pat and I are in Paris, and I'm looking forward to getting back and concentrating on college football.
Something other than trying to memorize the ERE L train schedule or the RER L train schedule. We'll concentrate on actual football schedules.
Yes. Let's get over with this. So the other day we talked about the college football coaches poll coming out, and we went over too high, too low. We kind of talked a lot about who was ranked, but mainly sort of that top 15 teams, maybe a couple others that could pop up, and how it would relate to the playoff if we had this playoff. One of our listeners pointed out, I guess it kind of blew by us as we were talking about this playoff, how beneficial that 5 seed is. And using the coaches poll, it's very interesting. So if you take, how it sets up, if we took the rankings from the coaches poll, so the 5 seed this time would be Oregon, right? Oregon would be the 5 seed because they would be the runner-up in the Big Ten. Oregon's the number 3. They would play 30th ranked Memphis in the first round. And then in the quarterfinals, they would get number 13th ranked Utah. Where if you're number 2 Ohio State, you get the winner of number 5 Alabama and number 8 Michigan. Now, these are their rankings, not the seeding. If you're Ohio State, you're sitting there saying, hey, I'm going to get Alabama or Michigan or whatever's ranked 5th and 8th in this thing. And Oregon's sitting there going, yeah, I got to beat Memphis. I got to play 2 games, but I'm getting Memphis and then Utah. Georgia would get a bye at number 1, but they would get either Notre Dame or Ole Miss in the second. Number 6, Ole Miss, number 7, Notre Dame. So the way this thing plays out, because of the automatic bids, the automatic top 4 for what will be the ACC and Big 12 champs, you might be better off being the 5 seed. And I wonder if this, they set this up before the Pac-12 dearly departed us. But I wonder if this is even more of an issue now at where we're at.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory, really, that there's without a doubt you would get 2 teams that, for practical purposes, might not be among the 12 best teams in the country to start the playoff. You get one of them at home, which would be awesome, and that would most likely be a group of 5 team. You win that game, and then you would get, in this instance at least, a power 4 automatic bid opponent who...
The worst one.
Yeah, isn't that highly ranked. So there's a chance to not get a free pass, but a pretty good favorable path into the semifinals.
Yeah, for sure. And, much has been made about the top 4 seeds not getting a home game. They don't get a home game despite being a top 4 seed and a conference champion. But that 5 seed obviously has to play another game, but does get it at home against, as you guys mentioned, like probably, the worst team in the field and maybe a team that's not even in the top 25. So it is an interesting point. We have smart listeners, Dan, don't we?
We do. And
smarter than us, since we didn't really even capitalize on that.
Yeah, went right by me. I think when they set this up, first up, there were 5 Power 5 leagues, obviously. You had the Pac-12. And then you also had the group of 5 hadn't been pillared the way it would be, right?
Right.
So you still had Cincinnati, UCF, who else jumped
Houston.
over? BYU,
Houston.
Yeah, different ones. Yeah. And so the likelihood of a lot of the years, those are generally your best ones, other than Memphis and Boise and whatever's coming out of the Mountain West or whatever. But it'd be more. I think this is going to be very controversial. I can see. Look, if I'm sitting there at 2 and I'm or 1, whatever we had, whatever you are, You're sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm Ohio State. I'm either getting Bama or Michigan again on a neutral field, and you're getting Memphis and then Utah. And like, that's not, that'll be a big point of reference. Maybe it's you get the automatic bids for the 4 conferences, but at what point do you not give them that first round bye? And I guess that would be it. How much have you heard about that, Ross?
I mean, the 1 year, not this past year, but the year before, where I think Clemson would have won the ACC and was ranked like 9, and then Utah was the other one, I think, ranked like 8 or 10 or something like that. There was a little buzz around commissioners, I remember hearing during that playoffs. That was 2022. It would have been the 2022 year, and I was trying to find it on my in my database here where I have what the playoff would have looked like. But I remember there being a little buzz of, is this formula the right formula? Well, they ended up going through with it. There is a look in the contract in 4 years, so it can be changed. And as we've discussed on the show quite a bit, you might expect that G5 spot to potentially be changed, but we're gonna, I think what you're gonna see from fans is one, a confusion over the Notre Dame situation whenever that happens, how Notre Dame can't get one of the first 4 seeds, and number 2, confusion over why a team ranked 10th or 9th is a first 4 seed and gets a bye. And those are the 2 most kind of odd type of setups. I mean, I understand why they did it, but those are the 2. And there's going to be some confusion there. And there might be enough angst that in 4 years, this all gets revisited somewhat.
Yeah. Got to see how this cooks.
Yeah. That's college football, the absolute undisputed king of unintended consequences. Every time they make a decision to change something, there's things that nobody considered that all of a sudden pop up and like, wait a minute, is this really going to be fair? I'm not all that concerned about fair, unfair really in this situation. I do not want to see them get rid of a group of 5 bid under any circumstance. And I'm fine with the Power 4 leagues all getting a top 4 seed and a bye. I mean, that at least fits the setup of the sport. And I don't think we can, yes, we're looking at the rankings right now, but things will change. And I would hope that the best teams in the Big 12 and the best teams in the ACC get a fair look and a fair appraisal from the playoff selection committee and from the poll voters, because they could very well be really good teams. I mean, we've seen Clemson do it. We saw Florida State do it last year till their quarterback got hurt. That we can't necessarily just say, well, the Big 12 winner's really not going to be very good, or the ACC winner's not going to be very good. But again, yes, Dan, we do need to let the cake bake and see how it's turning out before everybody loses their mind. But sure, people certainly are ready and anxious to lose their minds at all times.
I really like the formula and the format, because to me it allows access to more teams late in the season in each conference as far as the conference championship race. Because if you win your conference championship, then of the 4 at least, then you get the bye. And I think that's why they did the format like they did, is to make the conference championship games more valuable, or could keep their value, and to keep the conference championship race alive into November, because you're chasing that top 4 seed. But there's another debate going on, which I know we discussed on the show before, about conference championship games and the future of conference championship games in a expanded playoff. Are they valuable enough? Are they significant enough to keep? I think I posted a story back in maybe early December, about with comments from commissioners kind of questioning whether the conference championship game should continue. I think under this format, right, when you get a bye if you win your conference championship, it makes the games incredibly valuable. But you could just certainly name a regular season conference champion. The problem with that, of course, as Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, has mentioned several times, is the tiebreaker scenario. Can you really there gets some controversy involved in the whole tiebreaker thing.
Pat, this is college football. We're supposed to overreact and declare everything horrible. Get with the memo.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot. Oh, my God.
You are not on this show to be the calm voice of reason.
Yeah, well, and I rarely am. But,
yeah.
I apologize for that's sheer Paris fatigue setting.
Too much bonjour. Absolutely, they should not get rid of the conference. I want all four automatically in, and I want group of 5 automatically in. They will wreck this thing if they get away from that. They like wrecking things, but they will wreck it. It's certainly an it might even be like strategic where you're like, hey man, 5 seed works for us. I always said people would flip out because it was like, Notre Dame can't get a bye. I was like, Notre Dame's, they're fine. They're sitting there saying, we're going to host the 12 seed at home. We're going to game at Notre Dame Stadium. We're good. If we go undefeated and we should be in that top 4, we'll take 5. This is good enough for us. And they weren't, the idea that Notre Dame was getting screwed was a big memo for a little bit there. It was a big thing. It was like, they're not getting screwed. They've worked this. They may have worked it even more. You might rather be 5 than anything else. All right. So we discussed teams that can make the playoff. We kind of focused on the top 15 a lot, which was in this coaches poll: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, Florida State, Missouri, LSU, Utah, Clemson, and Tennessee. And then we did discuss the others here. But I'm looking for dark horses. Someone's going to make this thing. Someone's going to be a top team that we're not looking at right now. They could be ranked. They could be unranked. They could be getting votes. They could be not getting votes. Who is it out there that you say, you know what, it is not out of the realm of possibility that these guys jump up and get a bid? Because the best part, maybe the best part, or one of the best parts of this playoff is that you can now make that run. You're probably not making the run from nowhere to the top 4, right? But you can certainly make the run. There's a lot more teams that are like, hey man, this schedule, this kid breaks through at QB. We can certainly jump up into even in the Big Ten and SEC and get into that like top 3 of the league. So the possibilities are all over the place. Pat, who do you have as we'll just start throwing out some names. Who do you like as a possibility?
I like Oklahoma State. I mean, I do look at the Big 12, and I see that as being one of the most wide open conferences. Like, I'm fine with Utah being the preseason favorite there, but Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Arizona, Kansas, I think are all going to have good teams. But I look at Oklahoma State with Ollie Gordon back, and we already know he's not missing any playing time for the Stillwater mullet for his missteps. They've got Brennan Presley back at receiver. They've got Alan Bowman back at quarterback. They've got a lot of their defense back. This is a team that went 10-4 last year, and I think they've got pieces in place. Now, the Gundy thing it's confounding because generally speaking, not every time, but the higher the expectations, the less the performance. The lower the expectations, the better the performance. And I'm not sure whether being 18 and being like the second or third ranked team in the Big 12 is selling them low enough that they can sneak under the radar or not. But it's I say keep an eye on the mullet. His schedule, they've got Arkansas coming to Stillwater, which could give them some strength of schedule. But that's it, really, in the non-conference. They got South Dakota State and Tulsa. And then within the Big 12, they've got good games. They host Arkansas and Utah both in September, which are big. And they're at Kansas State. They've got at TCU late. They've got at Colorado to close the thing. They do not play Kansas during the regular season. So anyway, I've got my eyes on Stillwater. See what happens there.
Well, I've got a couple, but I'll start with the number 25 team ranked in the preseason that we talked about last pod. The Hawkeyes, Dan, of Iowa. Tim Lester, new offensive coordinator, going to jazz up the offense. McNamara back at quarterback, and they're going to have a great defense and great special teams. That's never been the problem. So all they need to do is score at least 24 points a game, probably. Maybe not.
Seems
even
like
that.
a lot. Seems like a lot.
Seems like a lot for them. I know. 3 touchdowns, guys. 3 touchdowns. Your defense is going to score you 1. All you got to do is score 2.5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So give me Iowa to surprise some folks in the Big Ten maybe, and sneak in that back end of that playoff. Man, could you imagine a 10 seed Iowa team that's putting up 22 points a game, but not allowing more than 8 in a playoff? About that.
I like Hawkeyes. I think they got a real chance. I really do. I think this offense will be much better, a little healthier. Can't be worse. I'm going to stay in the Big Ten. I like Rutgers.
Well,
I mean, you guys are Pat goes with Oklahoma State. They're ranked 17th. Hey, if you're 8.
you
Listen,
said
I'm
outside
throwing
the
down
top
today.
15.
I showed up to mean business today. Gold medal effort
the
out
top
of me.
15, and I followed the instructions.
Follow the instructions. I'll follow the instructions. Rutgers Scarlet Knights on the banks, baby. 7-6 last year. They get transfer quarterback in from Minnesota. They got 8 to 10 starters back on D. I'm not exactly sure who's gonna. They got Kyle Manungai,
awesome.
Incredible running back.
Hard-nosed dude.
Hard-nosed. They do not play Ohio State. They do not play Oregon. They do not play Michigan. They do not play Penn State, and they do not play Iowa. How's that little schedule? Rutgers has been taking it on the chin with the schedule since they got in the Big Ten. They got Howard, Akron. They're at Va-Tech, who is another one of my sleepers. They returned 21 starters, I think. 21, 20, amazing. 20 starters and both special teamers at Va-Tech. This is my other one. Now this is it. This is the knockoff game. September 21st, Lane Stadium. But Rutgers they're at there. That's their big non-conference game. I think they're going to be good. Then they got Washington. They're at Nebraska, Wisconsin, UCLA, at USC, Minnesota, at Maryland, Illinois, at Michigan State. It's doable. If they're playing really well, this is a team that could get 10 wins. Get 10 wins in the Big Ten, you might be in.
Well, I would think you got a great chance. But a couple of things just to keep in mind here on the mighty Scarlet Knights. The quarterback
it's
there,
Rutgers.
Yeah, well, yes, it's
Doesn't
Rutgers.
usually work out, but
that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. But the quarterback transfer from Minnesota, Ethan Kalakmanis, no disrespect to the young man, maybe he's going to improve, but he was not very good at Minnesota. His passer rating was 115 last year. That's not a good rating. And let's see, I'm trying to see in the Big Ten, where nobody could throw the ball, that had him 9th. So, yeah, but you know what? It'll be a typical. It almost doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're going to run. They're going to block punts. They're going to
tackle.
Yeah.
Fundamentals.
Just saying.
If we end up with a Rutgers Iowa fundamental Big Ten championship game,
There you go. Perfect.
I say we
That
cancel
might
the
be a
league.
stretch. If that's the case, then Ryan Day's in trouble.
Yeah, big trouble. Big trouble.
He didn't even make the top 2.
Big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah, that would not go. That'd be
So,
a bad
Dan, your
sign.
two surprise teams play each other, huh?
Yeah,
How about
Virginia.
that? The Vatech Rutgers, the surprise team bowl.
Vodtek's got so they got 20 guys back. You know, I don't what does that mean these days? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Generally, going to be a good sign, but perhaps not because he should have gone and got better players or something like that. That used to be a big thing, but they have the most starters returning is Rutgers for Brent Pry. I mean, for Virginia Tech for Brent Pry. The interior, like the offensive line looks really good. Kyron Drones will be the I thought had some moments last year at quarterback. They get Clemson in Blacksburg. You know, if they get going, that becomes, you know, a really tough place to play again, or at least an exciting place to play again, and they get a lot of energy. I don't know, you know. So look at Virginia. Let's see, Vatech they got 64 votes. They were 28th, and Rutgers. I don't know if they got a vote. They didn't get a vote, so they're not even in it. I'm proud of my picks. I don't care. Go ahead, Pat.
That's all that matters. No, am I supposed to? Do I need to try to pick another one now?
I don't know. Ross, you had more. You had
Ross,
more.
Yeah, go, Ross.
How
go,
about
Ross.
No, I'm going to give you one.
Oh, I got mine.
Everybody's surprise team every year, and they underachieve. The Miami Hurricanes.
I knew you were going to say it.
You knew it. You knew it. Oh, Miami. But this year, hey, Cam Ward at quarterback, Damian Martinez at running back, and their schedule shapes up pretty nice. If you look at Miami's schedule, right now they don't face a top 15 team ranked at least in some of the preseason magazines. So give me finally, maybe this is the year, right? Cristobal, I think this is year 3. You know, we're gonna kneel the ball, Dan, when we need to this year over there at Miami, and
growth.
In the ACC again, it's no gauntlet. So I think there's a pathway here for Miami to make the championship game and make the playoff.
That's all right. You want a Rutgers level kind of dark horse? I got one for you here. SMU to win the ACC.
Yeah, he's mentioned that one before.
Yeah. Stangs. I like their coach, Rhett Lashley. I think he's going to be a rising star and in the business. He's in his 3rd year there. Knows how to run an offense, but their defense was pretty good last year too. They allowed 17.6 points per game. They got most of their starters back on that side. They got their quarterback back, Preston Stone. Both coordinators in their 3rd years, and I do think there's some definite advantage to having that sort of continuity in the coaching staff as well. And yeah, they step in, and the schedule could work for them. I mean, they're at Nevada to open, which is I don't think is going to be that difficult. They're Houston Christian, which I think didn't that used to be Houston Baptist, which has the CVS in the parking lot, I believe.
Did Houston Baptist go to Houston Christian? They're trying to is that expansive? All denominations now.
That's it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They are not just limiting themselves to Baptists. So it's good. But then they got BYU and TCU in Dallas and Florida State all in Dallas. And that's where, I think I've said it before, that Florida State game looks like a trap game for the Noles to me. Road games are at Louisville, at Stanford, at Duke, at Virginia. Pretty manageable. At Louisville, probably the hardest ones out of that. So I like the schedule. I like the returning talent. I like the cut of their jib there in Dallas, SMU.
Right. There you go. I'll give you one. I'll give you the tap water. Iowa State. Iowa State out of nowhere. 18 starters returning. They have got Matt Campbell is exceptional coach. And you can't just every year at Iowa State roll out 10 victories, right?
Right.
But when he's got his stuff, it works. And last year, they were super young quarterback Rocco Becht, I believe that's how we're doing. 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. offensive line is all back. They got some skill positions. Jaden Higgins is a good player. Jalen Noel. Schedule's going to be interesting. They got to go to Iowa City for that game, and then they're going to have to sort through that churn of the Big 12. They play Kansas, but it's at Arrowhead Stadium. They got to go to Utah late. They got a Kansas State game late. They can make a lot of noise up until the end there and see what they got. But I like Matt Campbell as a coach. I like how he builds teams. And, last year was not – it's not always going to be up at Iowa State. But a lot of experience, good coaching, pretty good football team. They get things rolling. Who knows, man? Maybe they go out and win the Big 12.
I will say I do like when I'm looking for surprise teams that are really experienced on the lines. And as you mentioned, the whole offensive line is back, and I believe the whole defensive line is back too. So those are nice places to start.
Any others?
I got one more. How about the Huskers? The Huskers. Matt Rule. We've obviously Dylan Raiola, freshman quarterback, who we talked about quite a bit on the pod. They avoid Michigan, Penn State, Oregon in the Big Ten in their schedule. They do have to go play at Ohio State, and they have to play at Iowa. But give me Nebraska to surprise some folks this year. I think there's something brewing there in Lincoln, Dan.
I'll throw in one more that I actually briefly mentioned a couple of podcasts ago. Kentucky, 8 starters back on offense, 10 on defense. If the transfers come through, Brock Vandegrift, who hadn't been able to crack the lineup at Georgia, and then Chip Trainum at running back, who had been a pretty valuable player for Ohio State for several years. So if those guys, play well, I think they've got most of the other pieces in place to have a good season. They do open with 4 in a row at home. One of those is Georgia, which is probably an L. But other than that, they're at Ole Miss. They're at Tennessee. They're at Texas late. That's an issue. But still, I think that they've got a chance to piece something together and be at least in the mix going into the latter stages of the season.
I'll speed round 2. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I want to see KJ Jefferson at UCF. KJ Jefferson and the Gus Malzahn offense could be fascinating. He's coming in, big guy, big quarterback from Arkansas, really good player at Arkansas, but you put him with Malzahn's way to get quarterbacks running. I don't know. That one's fascinating. All the transfer QBs into the state of Florida are just crazy.
Yeah. Who's our G5 champion? Who are we picking to win the G5 to get that?
I got Boise. I have Boise.
Yeah.
I say Memphis.
It's a good pick.
Memphis is a good pick. I don't know. We'll see. LA. I gave you Rutgers, man. I think I tried. Get me into group of 5 right now. Get me into group of 5. All right. We'll be back after this message. All right. They asked Jim Harbaugh what he thought about the potential notice of allegations. We had the leaked the draft of the notice of allegations. Did Coach Harbaugh have anything to say? Was he going to apologize? He said he would not apologize. He has no apology. I do not apologize.
This response is such a Harbaugh response.
It's fantastic.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
I did not participate, was not aware nor complicit in those said allegations. He then said, never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams I've coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, nor was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So for me, it is back to work and attacking with enthusiasm unknown to mankind. I'm going to miss him. I'm sorry. I don't care if you think he's the biggest cheat ever. That's a great quote.
It is.
Man is
It
facing
is.
like 43 violations from also of every single,
Yeah.
like half the rule book is lined up against him. Most of them are garbage, but it doesn't matter.
That response also reminded me, I had a tinge of familiarity with Les Miles. That's something like Les would say back in the day. I do not apologize.
These are Michigan men. Michigan men.
Yep, there you go.
So I get this strikes me as Jim Harbaugh lying about lying. Since they basically Michigan admitted he had the burger with the recruits, he met with them, and Harbaugh denied it. But everybody, they literally have the receipt on it, and now he's saying, I don't lie and I don't cheat, and I think he's lying about cheating and cheating about lying.
I don't know if he's lying. I think he does not. I think he believes it. It is inaccurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Demonstrably wrong, but I think he actually believes what he's saying.
He's convinced himself, like his stands are trying to pass the lie detector test.
It's not, Jerry. It's not a lie. What does he say?
It's not a lie if you believe it.
It was everything I was hoping for out of the inevitable situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, if anything comes out of this entire ordeal with Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, I want the transcript of his interview with the NCAA investigators.
Oh God, yeah.
It would just be they're asking him questions and he's giving like these speeches. Like I don't know that there is an interview.
Well, I could, even better would be the transcript would be great, but a video of it where he's like, he's got that 1,000-yard stare into the distance, and then it's like, no, what, what hamburger? No, I don't have any recollection of that.
I was eating my chickens. Yes, it's a steak and whole milk. Did you buy a hamburger for a recruit and his dad? The way chickens interact tells us much about men.
What did he call it? A weak bird or a scared bird?
Yes.
Nervous bird.
Nervous bird. He took it back, though. He apologized for the chickens.
Yeah.
He did apologize to the chickens. He will not apologize to the NCAA.
Yeah, didn't his nutrition people were like, Jim,
no,
can't say this. Chicken's like the number one lean protein we eat around here for all your players.
He thinks it's weak and he thinks you should be eating steak, but he said that once he got chickens and saw how they act, they are not nervous. So he was wrong. So he will admit when he's wrong.
I mean, they do seem to be nervous. Have you been around chickens that haven't been nervous? They don't seem to like convey confidence. Chickens, they're not. I mean,
well, I don't blame them. You know how much chicken gets eaten in this country?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be very confident. You ain't gonna live very long.
Well, you taste too good, chicken. That's your problem.
Yeah.
Yes, they have every reason to be a nervous bird. But
Still waiting on that official NOA, by the way, Dan. We're waiting. Last I heard that the NCAA was still reviewing the terms, which tells me that, and not surprising of a matter, that the draft actually could change. We could see some changes. I don't know if there's going to be significant changes, but
guess we'll find out.
We could see some changes because, that was earlier this week. Told that the NCAA was still reviewing the draft and making tweaks. So we'll see.
Oh, exciting. It's from ESPN. International recording artist Pittbull has known as Mr. 305 to the Miami area code. He has purchased the naming rights to Florida International's football stadium. FIU is in Miami. 5-year deal. It will be called Pittbull Stadium. He's paying $1.2 million a year for 5 years. So $6 million bucks. Amazing. The rapper, singer, and businessman, Armando Christian Perez. He attended Coral Park High School. For me, what it boils down to is Miami is always known for being underdogs, no matter what we do and what level we take it to. Being underdogs is what I always felt about FIU. Fighting, clawing their way just to be seen, to be recognized, whether it be from education, business, through sports. So when this idea came about, it came about just like Miami-Dade County 305 idea would come about. Nobody would believe in it. All we had to do was, just like we say in Miami, take it to the house. What we're doing here.
What does that quote even mean?
I don't know, but it's great.
The terms of this deal are incredible. Let me read them. Let me read them. Pittbull will be referred to as, quote, official entrepreneur of FIU athletics, end quote. Pittbull is granted the right to use the stadium for up to 10 days annually. Voli, I guess it's Voli, 305 vodka, which is owned by Pittbull, will be the preferred brand distributed throughout the stadium in the stadium club.
Hell yeah.
There's the open ability for Pittbull or a Pittbull affiliated performer to perform at halftime or post game of home games. Pittbull gets 2 suites, all his in the stadium. And then Pittbull will in turn create a, quote, FIU anthem that will be played at all FIU athletic events.
It will be played on this podcast when it drops, too. I can promise you that.
That's right.
Can't wait.
Without
incredible contract details here. But if you've been paying
attention,
he also
will post on social media about the school 12 times a year.
On social media, yep.
And one athletic fundraiser, yeah.
One fundraiser event. It's pretty incredible terms. And if you've been paying attention to this pod especially, you know that not to be surprised at this. You know, we talked, I know, a lot about it back in June or so when the NCAA lifted some of its requirements around like field logos and sponsorships, that there was going to be more of this, right? We're going to have schools are looking for cash in the revenue sharing world, and this is one way they're going to do it is naming rights. Think about it, guys. Just over the last few weeks, we've had Pittbull Stadium, Snoop Bowl game, All-State 12, perhaps, for the Big 12. So there's these times, they are a-changing.
Yeah, that I'm wondering if Pittbull looked and saw Flavor Flav with the water polo team and Snoop Dogg is basically the unofficial hype man of the entire Olympics here, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to get some of that. And if he wants to embrace an underdog, well, FIU is certainly a good choice there. All-time football record, 88 and 170, .341 winning percentage. So he's got himself an underdog for sure. And, FIU gets $6 million out of the deal. Hopefully they can put that to some good use and maybe have a winning season. Dare to dream.
I don't know what FIU's budget is. It's going to hurriedly look, but that's probably a good percentage, I would guess, of FIU's budget. Usually a G5 budget is what, Pat, somewhere between 30 and 50 million or so. I'm guessing it's that's a pretty good chunk to get. What is it, 1.5 or so a year?
Yeah, 1.2, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm in. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
why not?
Great idea by FIU. Not only did you get a sponsor for your stadium, who knew what the name of the stadium was before?
Absolutely
I think it was just
nobody.
FIU Stadium. 20,000 seats.
Yep.
Pittbull's going to get you a lot of attention.
Sure.
45 million is their budget. So think about 1.2.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Get that sweet Pittbull vodka rolling around. If I'm just kicking around South Florida on a Saturday, maybe I go down there. Maybe I do.
Mike McIntyre is the head coach. He doesn't really seem like a Pittbull guy, but if your program's getting 1.2 million coming in a year, you can become a Pittbull guy. I think.
Probably paying for a portion of his salary in his assistants, probably.
Yeah, right.
Getting used to the stadium for 10 days, like that could be that's like free concert. Like I think this is probably a good deal by Pittbull.
Yeah. Why not? Makes sense.
Let's do this. This is what I said. This is going to be very entertaining. The different stuff that comes up.
Yeah. Yep. And fine if we get. I mean, if Pittbull's hanging around FIU games and turning them into something of a party. We'll pay attention. We'll look. It's part of the whole deal here. You know what? So bring it on.
Baylor football practice began, and the coaches were wearing shirts, coaching gear that read "Where we pay players" on them. This is not a shock because everyone's paying players essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
It'd be great if they wore this in 2009.
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Could you imagine?
Easy to say now, Baylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got I don't think I'm being unfair to say this. Book Richardson, who went to really good assistant basketball coach, who ended up going to prison briefly for the rest of us, probably long for him, for the the whole FBI thing. He went to prison 2 years ago for this. And he just sends me this thing. I was crucified for paying players. Now, they're literally wearing the shirts.
Yeah.
This man went to prison and had his career wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, the rules then, they were, got to follow the rules when they're in place.
I just can't think of a more succinct but glaring example of how times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
If you could show Walter Byers and people like that from the 80s or whatever, these pictures of the Baylor coaches walking around in shirts say "We pay players," they'd faint dead away. Yes.
This is it. All right, we'll be back after this. All right, look, we like to be, non-political here, not even nonpartisan. We just don't like talking politics because why would we? This should be a respite, a respite. See, I can't. Why would you listen to me about any of this stuff? Anyway, but sometimes politicians do some really interesting things, and one of them, in this case, is running for president. His name's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., fairly famous family. Maybe you heard of him. He's running for president. And, we've been on the, humans versus animal beat for a long time now. And so this story here from RFK Jr., who clearly is I'm just an observer of this. I'm a warning sign. I'm the Paul Revere. He's the one really out there, in the mix. Front lines, apparently. This is one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard told. So we apologize as a politician. You can vote for him, not vote for him. You can be more inclined to vote for him. You can be less inclined to vote for him. I don't really care. But I've never heard a story quite like this. So apparently the New Yorker was doing a story on him and they were going to release this. They had dug up this information. And so he decided to release it on his own for some reason in a tweet video where he's talking to Roseanne Barr.
To Roseanne.
Okay, I don't know.
First of all, if you're the New Yorker reporter, man, you got to be fuming. That sucks.
Yeah, that sucks. Right. He did that. And he said, try to spin this. I don't know that it's working quite how he wanted. I don't know. Anyway, vote for him, don't vote for him, do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. I just know that he was on the front line here. He's hanging out with Roseanne in a kitchen. There's dishes cracking. It's very unusual. But so is the story.
It's bizarre.
So is the story. This is just too good for us to. We had to break our thing here a little bit. Joe, play it. When I say stop, I'll stop because there's too much to just let it play all the way through without us commenting.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley. And I was supposed to meet them there at maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe, really early, 7. And that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear. And it was very good condition, and I was going to put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York City. There,
Okay.
for a roadkill.
Okay, stop right there.
Stop it there.
All right, first off, he's going falconing. That's just fantastic.
What the hell is that?
I think you go watch falcons or something. I don't
You
know.
teach falcons how to like fly off and get something and come back.
I don't know.
They fly off and you throw like a bait in the air and they come and get it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like War Damn Eagle, man. I like if you're like, hey, what'd you do today? Went falconing with RFK Jr.
Yeah.
Like, yes, no way.
You win.
So he's driving in the morning. He sees a woman hit a bear with their car. He stops, takes the bear, looks at it like for meat.
See, I didn't know you could eat bear. I didn't know that was a thing.
Pioneer frontier man here.
This is one of the wealthier families in America. I think the guy can afford like going down Kroger and getting his stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So don't waste it. He throws it in his trunk. Wouldn't you want to like skin it and refrigerate it right away?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't want to skin it, period, or refrigerate it, period. But if you did, then yes, I would not put it on hold.
He's driving around with a dead bear in his trunk while he goes falconing. I love this guy. All right, play. That's where we're at with this. What? Remember how like I know the Kennedys could be a mess, but like they projected this very regal, right? They were very Camelot, right? Camelot, Hyannisport.
Yeah.
Which was all phony, but whatever. This guy. Go get him. Totally legal in New York, apparently. If you find a dead bear on the side of the road, you can eat it. Good to know. You never know. You never know when that little bit of information might come in handy.
I have to tell you, so, like 35 years ago, I hit a deer with my car and, pulled over and, went to the nearest convenience store off the highway to get some help for my car and for the deer. And some guy comes up and goes, "You gonna keep the deer?" And I did not think very highly of that person. But now Robert F. Kennedy's doing the same thing with a damn bear.
Maybe that guy knew a lot more.
Maybe.
I've had venison. I've never eaten bear.
No,
but the bear would eat you. The bear would eat you. The deer would not.
No.
All right, play some more of this. We're just getting started, folks.
And so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it, so we stayed late. And instead of going back to my home in Westchester, I had to go right to the city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse.
You had a bear in your car while you're at a steak dinner at Peter Luger's? Jesus.
So, if you know anything about the geography, he's talking about being up, I'm guessing in like, not necessarily upstate, but kind of closer to the capital. I don't know how far he's driving back from this falconing.
Yeah.
But you got to pass through Hawking. We said falconing, and then he said Hawking.
I thought he said Hawking. Oh, okay.
Said both. Then he's driving. You have to drive through Westchester County to get to New York City, all the way to Peter Luger's, which is a very famous steak place there, and very like high end, very places you would see a Kennedy. Peter Luger's,
right?
So first off, he drove past this. Like, what is this plan? This guy lives a life, man. Right? Like, I'm going spend my day falconing. Now I go to Peter Luger's. But is he? He's got bear guts on him. Like, he's, like I'm guessing falconing requires some like trooping through the woods. I want to hang out with RFK so much.
I just wish we could have the video, the image of Roseanne sitting there. She's just standing next to him with like coffee, nodding her head as he's telling this story. The video is bizarre.
Even Roseanne is just like dumbfounded, and that is a woman who's seen a few things.
You're an insane person.
Right. She has seen a few things. Okay, so now he's at Peter Luger's having an elegant meal down there.
The dead bear in his car.
With a dead bear in his trunk. And he's for now, I mean, what time's dinner? If the bear probably killed 7, 8 a.m. It's now probably at least, he said it went late. It's good 12 hours that bear's been in the trunk.
And who's with him? And at some point, are they like, what are we doing here? You know,
I think you just buckle onto that firecracker and just go ride
I guess so.
a day with RFK. All right, play. It keeps getting better.
And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car.
No planning it. Now he's going to the airport at like midnight?
At no point, it's like these series of events that don't fit together at all. Like at no point did he say, you know, when you're picking up the bear, well, I've got a full day of other stuff to do, including going to a fancy steakhouse and then going to the airport.
None of which are near my house in Westchester County.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't
and they have things
pick up
called
the bear.
traffic in New York. Did he pack for this trip? Doesn't he fly like a private jet? What is happening? All right. So now he's got to do something about this bear because you can't just let that thing sit at a LaGuardia for a week.
I wouldn't think so.
Remote parking.
Because that would have been bad. So then I thought, you know, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me. There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in New York. They had just put in the bike lanes. And so a couple of people had gotten killed, and it was every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea. And I said, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike. It'll be funny for people. So everybody thought that's a great idea. So we went and did that, and we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper, and I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it. And I was like, oh my God.
All right. I wasn't drinking, but the others were. Yeah, I've tried that one before.
And they thought it would be a good idea. They did. And
these guys are, let's go stuff the bear under a bush in Central Park. What? And then he's got an old bike in this car too. What is RFK Jr.'s car
What
like?
else is in this damn car?
I don't want to know.
A bear bike. A couple of hawking tools, whatever that might be, equipment.
Directions to Peter Luger's. I don't know.
Yeah. At that time, printed out on Google Maps.
Yeah, I had to Google Map it.
Airport tickets, printed airport tickets, probably.
Yeah.
So he drives. You can drive at parts of Central Park. You can't drive through it. Like, does he park on the side and then get out and carry
right? That's
the bear?
Exactly. You like dragging it along with you in front of everybody?
Worried he's going to be noticed? He's a famous person.
He's got a bunch of drunks helping him. Remember?
He's got the drunks
helping him.
And then he's got to go to the airport. So this actually happened. This is not a made-up story. Well, I don't know about the other parts, but it was a huge story in 2014 that this, out of nowhere, a bear cub is found dead under a bush. This woman's walking through her dog through Central Park, and she notices this. And it's an abandoned bicycle and a bear cub. And the New York Times writes, everybody writes on it because it's a huge mystery. How did this bear cub get... Nobody can figure it out because they're nervous that there's more bear cubs and a mama bear is terrorizing, will terrorize Central Park. And where's the biker? So this was a huge story of who done it, and nobody had figured out who done it until the New Yorker cracks the case 10 years later, apparently, and then RFK Jr. confesses on some Roseanne show or I don't know.
It's incredible. Can't make it up. These are strange times in which we are living.
Yeah. This is the presidential race of 2024 will be remembered for a long time for many questionable reasons.
And we haven't even gotten to the election.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So quick people's court. Not saying you'd vote for him, not vote for him. No candidate is perfect. You may not like this story, but still vote for him, right? not going to like everything. More or less likely to vote for RFK Jr. after the Bear story. He comes clean on the Bear story. Pat Forde.
More likely, which means 0.0% to now 0.1% likelihood. Right. Because, I mean, if this is just kind of how he rolls, then God only knows the level of entertainment we could get, comic entertainment, from him being in charge in the White House. So I will say that, however, got to say, Tim Walz, the vice presidential nominee now with Kamala Harris for the Democratic Party, I interviewed him about football. I talked to him about PJ Fleck in 2019 for a Sports Illustrated story. He knows ball. He was a former high school football coach.
Yeah.
You never know when these old I know that guy. Yeah.
The intersection of sports and politics.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Right. But yes, all right. So RFK has shot up in my book up to 0.1% chance.
Okay, you didn't have to get percentages. Ross?
Obviously I live in DC, and about 6 months ago, I heard this loud, kind of sounded like an ice cream truck. So I went outside and I looked over, and there is a parade of vehicles, at the center of which is what looks like a Winnebago of some sort that's been painted with flags all over it, and it's blaring some kind of music. And of course, on the side, RFK Jr. for president. And it's a parade of his people driving down the street in DC. And I went back inside. I said, Liz, my wife, Liz, there's like an RFK Jr. parade. And me not keeping up with things. And this was like probably at least 10 months ago. I said, who is RFK Jr.? And she said, he's crazy. There you go.
I don't know.
But to answer your question, Dan, I'd just love to have a beer with him.
He wins
that.
What other animals, has he been carting around America?
Well, have you guys seen the memes? Like every kind of big unexplained or unsolved issue in America history. Now people are like plugging in that that RFK Jr. was behind these things.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
just different events. I can't think of one right now, but the memes have been.
I saw a great one that's RFK. I know Bigfoot is real, and I know it because I shot him with a crossbow in 1997. That was a good one.
He would release the info on the aliens. He would release it.
He would.
Yeah.
So I found this to be tremendous. I definitely want to hang out with him. More likely to vote for him, whether or not I do or not is my private decision as a citizen. But RFK Jr., that story's too good. That's one of the best man versus animal stories we've ever had.
Of all time.
He's got a good way of telling it. Peter Luger's. You get invited to Peter Luger's with RFK Jr., make sure you clear the deck. Anything could happen.
Go, but then find out where his car is parked and see what's in it after.
I still have more questions, but anyway, that's our show. We'll be back next week. Season's getting close now.
It'll be a domestic product next week.
Domestic product. We will appreciate everyone listening, sharing us on social media, telling your friends about us. We will talk to you later.